All right, so now that we have a good solid foundation to build off of, now let's get to the hands-on portion of this course. And we're going to start this off by talking about our trading plan and going over some essentials for a good trading plan. All right, so now we're just building onto this foundation, and we're going to start off by talking about the essentials to a good trading plan. Okay, and this is in no particular order. We're just going to go over these things. I'm just going to go over the different parts of a good trading plan. All right, so of course you want to have a complete strategy. I'm not going to go into what it takes to have a complete strategy in this course, just from a broader perspective. We're just going to have the example of the actual strategy to see different pieces of a complete strategy through the strategy that I'm going to teach in this course. All right, a little bit of a tongue twister there. All right. All right, so then of course we also want to know that our trading hours, what hours or what time of the day works best for us, how many hours in the day that we want to trade. Now, so with this trading plan, we can go ahead and start talking about this here. What we're going to do, this is 2 hours a day, but it's only 1 hour of active trading. The other hours for preparation. Okay, now how you do that, what time do you do your preparation, and what time you actually trade, that's completely up to you and what works best for your schedule. But that's just what we're doing for this course, is 2 hours a day. Now, if you got more time that you want to do, absolutely. For me personally, 2 hours is the absolute minimum. Preparation, 1 hour of trading, that's the absolute minimum. But if you have more time, feel free. You know what I'm saying? Just don't overdo it, right? So these are some things that you want to think about as you coming up with your plan. How many hours do you have to really focus on just trading? And you don't want to have any distractions in your trading hours, whether that's during your preparation time or during your live actual trading time. You want to be completely focused on the task at hand, which is trading successfully, right? All right, so then also with that, you want to know what you're going to trade. So of course you want to know your trading time, so now you can figure out what it is that you actually want to trade, the products that you want to trade. Okay, in this course we're talking about the futures market, and we're specifically talking about the NASDAQ futures, symbol NQ, or the micros, which is MNQ, which is what I trade. I trade the micros, right? Now again, this is completely up to you, but let's just say, for instance, if your time is, and working off of Eastern Standard Time, let's say the time that you have available for whatever reason is 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 a.m. Now you can see, NQ can be something that you definitely can trade and get good results from at 3 in the morning. But you also may want to look at the Euro futures, right? The Euro currency futures. Or you may want to look at Forex, right? Now, completely out of the question is going to be stocks. You can't do stocks at that time of the day. It's just, you don't have that option available to you. That's not even like, you can trade overnight. You can look at swing trades, but that's not what we're talking about. So you really just tied down to Forex, Bitcoin, or cryptocurrency. Forex, cryptocurrency, and futures. But again, in this, I'm not going to talk anything. I'm not going to say anything about cryptocurrency. Of course, I know about these markets. I know about crypto and Forex. That we're not talking about this in this course. We're only going to talk about the futures. So that's your, what you're going to trade. Also, your preparation, your routine. Now, I briefly talked about this before. You definitely want to have a method or a routine for how you go about preparing for your trading day, right? And you want to be consistent with that. Remember, we want to stay consistent. So we want to be consistent with everything that we do, because this is a business, right? You want to be consistent. How successful do you think Walmart would be if one day it opens at 9 in the morning, then the next day it opens at, at 12 in the afternoon, and then the next day it may not open that day, and then one day it's going to just open at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's going to close by 9. They wouldn't be that successful, right? If the hours for Walmart is just all over the place. No, they have every single day, they're consistent to their times and what times they're open. They're consistent to what times they stock their shelves with whatever products. There's a consistency there, so that they make sure that as the customer, you get, the customer gets a good experience, so that the company can make money, right? So we got to take the same type of mentality into our trading. Trading is a business. We need to treat it as such. We need to stay consistent with our trading, our business of trading. And part of that, includes our preparation, how we're preparing, and we want to be consistent to that. Me personally, what I do is I do my preparation the night before, and also, of course, there's a little bit of preparation right before I start my, my trading window, which is at 9 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, or 9:30 in the morning, the New York Stock Exchange open, right? The next thing on our trading plan is a journal. So you got your typical journal, the kind of journal that everybody is familiar with, where you you're trading, you're writing down, or you're even typing it down, but you're putting down your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings and all of that stuff. That's your typical style of journaling. Then also you have the kind of journaling that you usually see mostly with trading, where it's really just a log of your trades that you took, and then you may have some notes in there where you're noting down, what you was thinking and what you was feeling when you took that trade. So with that being said, in your journal, some things that you definitely want to keep record of is what trades you're taking, the results of those trades, and how you record your results is up to you. You can record your P&L if you want. You can record how many points or ticks that you got, but you also want to record what you was thinking when you took the trade, so that you have that awareness, and also how you felt when you took the trade. So these are the things that you definitely want to make sure that are in your trading journal. And like I mentioned before in another section of this course, I also put in my trading journal my checklist. So this checklist helps me with the consistency in my trading, so that I'm not missing things and I am staying on a routine, and it's making sure that my focus is where it needs to be. All right. Now, the other thing we want to have in our trading plan, or the last thing we want to have in our trading plan, again, this is not in any particular order, but we want to make sure that we are setting aside time to improve outside of our trading window. Okay, this is kind of what I mentioned before when I've talked about practice. Okay, now with practice, there's also continuing to learn about the markets, right? I'll give this example to illustrate what I'm talking about here in terms of continuing to improve with our trading. One thing that living in other countries has taught me, that it's impossible to not pick up some pieces of the language, at least a little bit of the language, where you can kind of understand what people are talking about when you're living in those countries, right? So, I lived in Kuwait and I lived in the Philippines for a couple years, right? I'm not going to get into all the details about that, of course, but without me actively putting in any effort to, trying to learn the language, I did actually pick up some pieces of the language to where I could kind of understand a little bit of what the locals were saying, right? Just for me being fully immersed in that environment, I did pick up the language, just a little bit, to where I could at least understand it, right? So in trading, it does help a lot to be fully immersed into the environment or to the industry of trading. So some of the things that I do is I stop listening to music when, mostly when I ride in my car, and I listen to a lot of podcasts that deal with trading, a lot of podcasts that deals with business, a lot of podcasts that deals with just, financial literacy as a whole, right? So I'm every single day I'm doing something that's related to the financial markets and business, right? Or I'm immersed in that somehow, right? So, and I'm also reading books, and I'm in different groups to where I can have that interaction with other traders that can relate to me, because definitely trading can be like a lonely type of thing. You kind of find yourself on an island as a trader, because most of us, our family members, are not also trading. Our loved ones, our friends, are not also trading as well. So we have to, kind of extend our reach a little bit and find those other trading communities, so where we have those groups and those other people that can relate to the things that we're going through, and we can, feed off of each other and help each other progress. All right. So this is just some ideas of how you can improve outside of your actual trading window. Of course, as you're trading actively in the markets, you're going to just improve naturally the more you do it. But we also need to make sure that we're improving outside of our actual trading window. Okay. And then lastly, of course, I keep saying this over and over and over throughout this course, because it's very important. You want to stay consistent. Consistency is definitely part of your trading plan. Again, we find this consistency through our checklist, through our routines, through our habits and all of that stuff. You want to be consistent. Consistency. I cannot say that enough. Is that important. All right. So we're going to dive a little deeper into a couple sections of this list. And the first thing on that list is going to be what to trade. So let's go ahead and talk about that in the next section.